welcome to The Good Life with me, Eileen. We are here to open your mind with O.T. Thomas on The Good Life Friday. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We have a show for you. Number one, I'm happy to be back in the studio today. Oliver and I, neither one of us were here yesterday. You were like, what is going on?
I was hanging with Judge Kiva Landrum Johnson and Miss Good Life Eileen Carter and listened to the president. Wow, he did a wonderful job yesterday.
He did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I was...
and you were all over the news, man. Channel 6, Baton Rouge 9.
When I sit next to you and Judge Landrum Johnson, of course I'm going to be all over the news.
People be watching us.
Exactly.
Where they at?
Exactly. And it's so profound because yesterday of all of the questions asked, I think one of the most important questions came from the little girl that was sitting next to us. She asked the president about a cure for cancer.
Curing cancer, yes. First of all, thank you for allowing me to actually go up with you guys and listen to the president.
Thank you because I didn't have to drive.
Probably the last.
So I appreciate it.
Well, the man is supposed to drive the lady. Probably the last time he's going to be in Louisiana in his official duty as POTUS, the President of the United States. And it was just wonderful listening. He has a grasp of our issues here, from flood protection to our education system here to economic development. He was on it. And the young lady sitting next to us, the question that she asked about cure for cancer, the president talked about that. Joe Biden is going to head his commission. Of course, Beau Biden died of cancer. That was a real powerful question about us committing the resources to end a disease that is a man-made disease that is destroying too many lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is absolutely the good life. If we can,
no
eradicate cancer.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. And I know it runs deep in my family. And so I definitely want to send a shout out to my mother this morning because today is her birthday.
Happy birthday,
Gigi. January 15th, she shares a birthday with the great Dr. Martin Luther King. So shout out to all of you.
Gigi Carter, one of the great women of our time, all from the Calio Project to a successful woman, business owner. And a lot of people don't know that. I remember when she was the Black Tourism Network that she started,
she started
years ago. The network that Tony Rice has right now. Tony's doing a wonderful job. A lot of what happens in cultural tourism, but Gwen Gigi Carter was actually one of the foundations to start that. So she doesn't get a lot of credit for it. She doesn't talk about it, but gosh, she did a great job there. She
absolutely does. And she had roots of New Orleans. Look, we're going into different. But she had roots of New Orleans. And my parents really...
Calio Project.
She did. She had the first black tour in New Orleans. And so, we really want to give her props for all of those things. She was always...
You better. That's your mom.
She was always cutting edge. Like you are cutting edge. You went to Israel, the Middle East, for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know how cutting edge it was. I was fortunate to be part of Pastor Mel Jones, who's going to be on with us next week, Bishop Corvin and many others.
So make sure that you tune in on Tuesday,
right? Yeah, many others. It was there are a lot of people around the world and a lot of people in this country and a lot of people in New Orleans who are making an effort to connect back to the cross. And something I said earlier is that for many of us who think we're Christians, we think our salvation starts the day we were saved, or the church we go to, or how powerful our pastor is, or when we commit to do what's right. But it starts when John 3:16. So he so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. And I think Christianity is watered down so much. We could learn a lot from many of our Islamic brothers and sisters and those who study Judaism, who are still culturally and historically bound to their religion, that in many cases Christianity has been more trendy than it has real about plugging in and extending to Christ and how he suffered and died so that we would have everlasting life.
Absolutely. So I'm really on number one. How did the invitation get extended to you to be able to go over there?
Getting involved in, I think, people who I knew who were involved in these, who thought that maybe I was worth helping, who know that.
Well, you touched so many, so I think by you being touched, it's able to, overflow from
and
there.
I think maybe maybe that's one of the ways that they saw it, but it was an invitation for people who kind of like to work and to volunteer and mentoring some of the things I'm involved in, and thought it would be a good opportunity to put it in a historical context or perspective. I'll tell you that one of the most powerful things for me was that, when we read our Bible, we understand it. There's some things that we think are myth or stories that really actually happen. So to connect it to those historical accounts of where Jesus walked, or where prophets walked, the history of whether it's the Talmud or the Byzantine Empire, Roman Empire, to go back to those sites and survey, what happened, and read old scrolls and have readings, and then study the Bible based on what you just witnessed or saw, or the place that you visited, was extremely powerful. Let's say it like when Jesus speaking to the multitudes at the Sermon on the Mount, someone would say, well, how was that acoustically possible,
right?
How could you?
How did he speak to that many people?
He didn't have a sound system. He didn't have speakers. He didn't have a megaphone. Well, if you would visit that place and see the way God has engineered those mountains and the way it echoes off the water, it is perfect engineering. And how just to throw your voice out there, how it could echo and be heard throughout that particular area, just the way the sea and the mountains are situated. It's possible. No, it's not just possible. It happened.
It absolutely happened. Just to give you a little bit of background on, Israel, the birthplace of the Jewish people is the land of Israel. A significant part of the nation's long history is recorded in the Bible. There it is. Their cultural, religious, and national identity was formed, and there its physical presence has been maintained through the centuries. Even after the majority was forced into exile during the many years of dispersion, the Jewish people never severed nor forgot its bond with the land. With the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, Jewish independence that was lost 2,000 years earlier was renewed.
To go to the Dead Sea, where nothing lives.
Literally.
Literally. I mean,
hence the name. Right?
It's just the Dead Sea. Beautiful. Beautiful place, but nothing lives in the Dead Sea. The salt, the concentration, the salinity is so heavy.
High, right.
It's so heavy and so high that it's practically almost impossible to sink. But I had a funny discussion with the lady who was trying to sell me some Dead Sea products. And, she was like, hey, man, you got to buy this. Good for your skin. So, being OT, I'm still from the Ninth Ward. Lower Nine, me and Old Yellow.
Oh, gosh, what did you tell her?
Me and Fred Luter, still from the Lower Nine. So I said, well, look. So I asked, well, miss, what do they call this? They said, well, this is the Dead Sea. I said, well, what do you call these products? She said, these are Dead Sea minerals. I said, well, if nothing lives in the Dead Sea, why I want to put it on my live body? So
you want to?
She looked at me like I was
exfoliate the Dead Sea.
She looked at me like I didn't understand that. Right. All I knew is that everything in the Dead Sea dead. So why I won't put it on me? Okay, I mean, I'm, you know what I'm saying?
We'll have to talk about exfoliation after the show,
I'm not hip on the beauty stuff. All I know is that Dead Sea, why I want it on my live body.
Well, the Dead Sea actually is the lowest place on Earth.
On Earth, absolutely correct.
So,
yeah. Okay, well, I'm trying to go high.
Right. I was just trying to, maybe open people's minds
not
a little bit.
The other thing
trying to give her a way out.
What was fascinating was being on near the front line in Golan.
I was about to ask you, because time out.
You saw those pictures.
Did y'all just hear what he said?
Yeah.
He said he was at the front lines. How many of you listeners out there choose to go to the front lines?
Yeah.
O.T. Thomas chose to go. What made you stop? What made you choose to go to the front lines? Adrenaline rush?
First of all, I'm from New Orleans. So if I can feel safe in New Orleans, right?
That's true.
Now, the real talk. I never didn't feel safe. The term covered in the blood. Mm-hmm. I felt like my faith, first of all, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. But we was on a quest for enlightenment. So I never did not feel safe. And the group that we were with, we wanted to experience it, And when I say that we were near the front line, we were a few blocks away.
Y'all, he has pictures.
Yeah,
in bunkers.
With
tanks.
You could hear. As our guide for that moment, Elon, when we're standing in the goal line, and he looked out about a few blocks away, maybe less than half a mile away, mm-hmm. You could hear the bombs. You could hear the M16s and AK-47s going off. And the other good thing about it was he explained the history of a region. Our media, and the media propaganda and the government propaganda is so much and so thick that it's very difficult to get the real stories about what happens anywhere in the world, because our media is controlled.
Right.
They really are, especially our national media is controlled. So the image of what the people are, what they're going through, and some of the realities, you cannot get that unless you do some intense study. You do like a brother Roger, who calls all our shows, who talks about going to those alternative news sources to put your own information together. So to be there and talk to people of Jewish faith and Islamic faith about what they're going. Now there was a lot of propaganda and all of that too,
right.
But to be able to get different, how would I say, different opinions from different people. And when Elon gave us the history of the region, he pointed to this area to the right and he said, that's ISIS and Al Qaeda fighting over here. He said that's the Alawites or Assad's group that Assad came out of, fighting the rebels over here. That's the Russians bombing over here.
God.
These are two independent groups that have been fighting since 600 AD, that now that there isn't Assad regime is weakened, they're back to fighting over here. And he said right over here you have these other two groups that are anti, all of these groups, they're fighting
over here.
Yes, over here.
It's like choose a direction, and he could tell you.
And he could tell you, actually, so there was so many different little mini wars and battles of different groups. And then I asked him a question. So I said, well, hey, man, what is the solution? And he looked at, he said, you tell me. He said, it's been happening since 600 AD. He said, maybe God, but definitely not regime change, definitely not interference from countries that don't understand our region. He said, what we want to do is keep people safe and hope that at some point there's a generation that learns how to survive and get along.
Wow. Well, with Israel only 1/6% of the land mass of the Middle East, Israel is roughly half the size of Lake Michigan. Mm-hmm. So it's only that size, but you have all of that fighting going on. Hearing all of the different points of view, what were you able to gather from your perspective? I
was able to gather that disaster capitalism and what happens with money and the control of currency, whether it's U.S. currency or what's happening with shekels or in the Middle East and oil, that's what rules the world today. Because when I went behind the wall in Palestine, there was a whole nother level of poverty.
Wow.
That was there, and I could see the frustration on the faces of the Palestinians and Muslim brothers and sisters who wished that they were part of the Jewish economy, who wished that they had the opportunity. And then, as Pastor Mel and I, when we were in Aku, one of the vendors, which is a Muslim city in Israel, when we were in Aku, one of the vendors kind of chased us down. We were walking in the back behind the other group, and she said, "Guys, you guys need to buy something. Please stop." And she said, "Well, wow." She says, "All of the fighting, has hurt our economy." She says all of the fighting, the tourism, and people visiting the market, it's not like it used to be. So of course, Pastor Mel stopped me and others, and we purchased some things just to help them. So to learn how, in many cases, whether you believe in what some of these extreme groups like Al Qaeda and ISIS are doing, they're hurting their own people.
Right.
Know. So it was enlightening to be able to deal with it. Oh, the two grave sites, to visit the tomb where Jesus really was versus the tomb the garden tomb where he really was.
Where he really was.
Of course, the body was moved, and the commercialism that happens around religion. But the most eye-opening thing to me was that how capitalism and where capitalism is today, and its a disregard for regime, our lives, our countries, our culture, total disregard.
Speaking of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but after the break, I really want to kind of get into different places that you visited, because on this tour, you said you visited over 50 different sites.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. So I want to kind of go into some of those specific sites and exactly what those sites mean.
Absolutely.
And we want to talk about the Enlightenment and, how it's kind of, spreading all over the world and what you think about that. This is The Good Life. We are here on The Good Life Friday, and we are talking to O.T. Thomas. He has been to Israel. He has been to Palestine, and we want to know all about it. This is Good Life. We'll be right back, y'all.
We welcome our listeners to join us for Frankly Fridays, where dialogue meets debate. Your week in your words. with Dr. W.L.T. Littleton every Friday at 11 a.m. on WBOK, Real Talk for Real Times.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backward thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be.
Gentili Italian Pie is home to the $5 Family Happy Hour. Specials on pizza, wings, and drinks Tuesday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Gentili Italian Pie does fresh for the entire family. Salads, pizza, pasta, wings, and oven-baked sandwiches. Gentili Italian Pie offers lunch and dinner in a new, modern atmosphere surrounded by big screen TVs. Dine in or carry out by calling 504-826-9180. That's 504-826-9180. Relax. Have a drink from the fully stocked bar or beer on tap while your order is made from the freshest ingredients. Gentili Italian Pie, 4706 Paris Avenue, is home where everybody knows your name. So bring the family to Paris and Mirabeau for the $5 Family Happy Hour, Tuesday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's Gentili Italian Pie. Dine in or carry out. 504-826-9180. That's 504-826-9180. You gotta try the pie. That's the original Italian pie, located at Paris and Mirabeau in Gentili.
Are you looking for a better way to get fit? Bored with the same old routines? Looking for results or a way to instill discipline in the kids? Tiger Rock Martial Arts is the answer with Taekwondo, kickboxing, and self-defense classes. Tiger Rock diversifies your training in ways that allows individuals of all ages and fitness levels to feel like a champion. Join Tiger Rock today. TigerRockNola.com or 504-455-9694. That's 504-455-9694 with a 3-class starter pack starting for only $38, which includes your training uniform. Learn, grow, and succeed with Tiger Rock's 3 convenient locations: Old Metairie, West Bank, and Clearview. There's no better time to start gaining strength, skills, and protection for life than now. 504-455-9694. 504-455-9694. See you on the mat.
Security provides the good life. They make their mark in the security arena by providing excellent security services for more than 35 years and are licensed in more than 13 states. L&R Security's team comes with a wealth of experience from the military, law enforcement, and law enforcement training. Their personnel is comprised of more than 200 employees trained in video monitoring, special event services, convention services, armed and unarmed security guards, ticket takers, executive security, personal bodyguards, hall monitors, and critical infrastructure personnel that are TSA trained. L&R Security services are provided on a 24-hour basis and have expanded to the newest technology, including video monitoring. Find them on the web at www.lrsecurity.com or call them today at 504-943-3191. Again, that number is 504-943-3191. Live the good life with L&R Security today.
You're on the move and so is your bank. Liberty Bank now offers you the power to manage your money from the palm of your hand with mobile banking with Liberty Bank. Whether you need to check balances, transfer money, or view transactions, mobile banking at Liberty Bank allows convenient and secure access to your money. Enroll today at www.libertybank.net and download our mobile app. You can mobile bank at Liberty Bank to keep the power in your hands. Liberty Bank. There's freedom here. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Good Laugh Relationship Tuesday is going up on a Friday. Sets off at Bullets, 2441 AP Toro, January 29th at 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. Thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. The Good Laugh Relationship Tuesday, going up on a Friday, is presented by the Good Life Radio Show, featuring Stand Up NOLA, combining Relationship Tuesday with the crew, Eileen, Uche, Brian, Henry, and Ty, and Fridays, the Good Laugh Comedy Hour with comedians Tony Frederick, Matt Owens, and CJ Hunt. The Good Laugh is comic relations. Buy your tickets online now. Thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. Thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. Come hear what really goes on during commercial breaks. Come get your relationship questions answered live. Stand Up NOLA will say everything we can't say on air. The Good Laugh Relationship Tuesday going up on a Friday at Bullets, 2441 AP Toro, January 29th at 7 p.m. Tickets are going fast, so purchase online now at thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. Carter Business Development delivers. For businesses to compete, they must have access. Let CBD be your bridge. For business development services, radio advertising, social media marketing, brand ambassador, outreach, and access. Contact Carter Business Development at 504-400-7127 or email Eileen@tglradioshow.com. Carter Business Development creates unfolding opportunities. CBD connects the dots from where you are to where you want to be. Join the good life now with Carter Business Development, 504-400-7127, 504-400-7127. As quoted, a man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time. Let CBD save you time and give you access. Call 504-400-7127, 504-400-7127. Take the steps required for access so you can live the good life too with Carter Business Development. That's 504-400-7127.
Listen to WBOK 1230 AM anywhere in the world. Live at www.wbok1230am.com. WBOK 1230 AM, talk radio in New Orleans.
Good morning, and welcome to The Good Life. We are here on The Good Life Friday with Oliver O.T. Thomas. Open your mind. We are here on The Good Life Friday, and you will know on Fridays I like to choose someone, an event, or something that's going on in the world that really does open your mind. And our own Oliver O.T. Thomas went to Israel and Palestine for 2 weeks. He went to the front lines, and he literally visited 550. I was going to say 5. They had a 50.
About 16 national parks and about a lot of different other sites.
Lots of different things.
But kudos to Pastor Mel. Baptist Seminary, Bishop Corvin, and all of the organizers who put together the event. It was a wonderful experience.
And they will be on your show on Tuesday morning.
Absolutely.
So make sure you all tune into that on Tuesday morning. You know, Israel is best known for its landmarks that reflect the region's lengthy human history and its prominence in all three monotheistic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Right.
You know, largely concentrated in Jerusalem, the country's largest city, many of Israel's most famous sites and monuments have sparked struggles among the various religious groups that they lay claim to.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a couple of these sites that you visited. I want to first talk about the Dome of the Rock.
Dome of the Rock, beautiful.
The Dome of the Rock is an Islamic building in Jerusalem that sanctifies the location from which, according to the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad was taken to see paradise. You know, in the Jewish religion, they believe that is the spot upon which Abraham almost sacrificed Isaac. You know, what was it like to visit these places? Because, you know, the average New Orleanian may not get to see these things, so we're going to see it through your eyes.
Absolutely breathtaking, beautiful. And now, of course, the Dome of the Rock was also previously on that location was a Jewish mosque. A Jewish synagogue.
Right.
So, you know, you've had changes there, and there's a lot of contention about who has the right to the to the location of the Dome of the Rock. But it's a very powerful place. It's beautiful with the Golden Dome. If you're approaching through the Old Jerusalem to the right of the Dome of the Rock is the Eastern Gates, where they say the Messiah will enter the city of Jerusalem when he comes back through the Eastern Gates. But they're also
Did you walk through those gates?
No, no.
Right.
Ain't nobody walking through those gates. They're cemented, closed. So you're gonna have to be the Messiah if you're gonna enter through the
through those gates.
No, I didn't.
I'll go through a different set of pearly gates.
I can barely get through the gate at my house, so you know I'm not that anointed right now. But there's also some contention there in the dynamics that play out in the city of Old Jerusalem, and who has the right to that site. And you know, even though you're touring and you're studying the history, It's a sacred site that, in many cases, many of Islamic brothers and sisters don't want people there disturbing.
Wow.
That site. Some are offended by Christians being there, and there's some from Judaism who actually believe that they have right to that site. But one of the most prominent things about the region, and as wonderful as it was, kind of disturbing as it was, that everything had to do with a battle. Everything had to do with a fight. Everything had to do with people being killed. And so while you're there in the Holy Land, whatever your quest is to follow Muhammad, if your quest is to understand and practice the Torah until the second coming, because the Jews believe that Jesus was a prophet,
right,
that the Messiah is yet to come, or as a Christian who believe in the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. One of the most disturbing things and eye-opening things was that there's always been this battle to claim God. And people had to die for it.
And the funniest thing is, if you research all of these religions, at the core is love and peace, but there is so much fighting and friction.
Right. And as a relatively newer religion from Christianity and Judaism, the Dome of the Rock is significant in Islamic culture because it's one of the oldest recorded sites, that represent, this Allah. And that represent their religious edifice for them, extremely important in Islamic culture. So it's sacred.
Wow. I know one of the other major sites that, so many people really acknowledge when they think about, the Holy Land is the holiest site in Judaism, in the Western Wall. Built by Herod as part of the structure that encloses Temple Mount. For centuries under Muslim rule, the wall was the closest Jews could go to the site of the original Temple of Jerusalem, and is therefore became sacred in its own right. So what was that like?
The Western Wall is powerful in itself for people to see and to feel, to hear the chanting and the prayers, to feel people there. And let me say, went to the Western Wall a couple of times. For men to approach the Western Wall, you have to have something on your head. Your head has to be covered. A sense of obedience and respect to God. It is extremely powerful to feel. I actually, my prayer was for my city.
I was going to ask you, but I didn't know if that was too personal.
No, my prayer, of course, for my family, my mother, who's my handicapped sister, in memory of the late ones, my son, my father, and all those who've gone on. But my prayer was mostly for my city, in terms of what we're dealing here with race and economics and oppression and some of the challenges with violence here in New Orleans. But I also place prayers and requests for others who asked me to place them in the wall. There are large cracks in the wall where people from all over the world go to stuff and place those prayers and ask people to pray for them, where you believe that God will feel, not only read those requests,
right,
but he will feel that prayer matters. Prayer is extremely powerful. I contend that if we would all take time out to pray and be in one accord with our prayer and our request for a better world, I believe that this world, this city, this state, this nation, this world would be a much better place. Now, once the prayers are there, of course, if they accumulate, they actually gather them up at some point, whether it's years later, and then they bury them on site so that they never leave there.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, we have the lines lit up. I have Brother Al Mims, who wants to discuss your visit to Israel as well. Brother Mims, welcome to The Good Life. We're here with O.T. Thomas. He went to the Holy Land, and he's telling us all about it. Go ahead.
Peace to you, good brother.
And I wanted to say, Brother Oliver, that you say a prayer for me because sometimes, the Lord seems like he's so far away. I know that's a lie, but let me say this. Sometimes, I look around and say the poor will always be with us in our community. They're not under or they're in our community at every stop sign now. They have all colors. They got degrees. They're veterans. They're teachers. They're parents who lost a job. They had 3 or 4 jobs, and they couldn't even pay their rent. And I'm seeing this. I'm just flabbergasted, but I ain't gonna stop praying. But you know what else too? We gotta not just pray, but we gotta do the right thing when we pray. If we pray and gonna still do the wrong thing, something wrong.
Well, let me say this to you, Brother Al. God loves you, and it has nothing to do with what you do or don't do. Your salvation has been bought and paid for. The question is whether you cash it in or not. So it's done already, and God loves you unconditionally.
I'll take that, run with that one, yeah.
Absolutely.
Unconditionally.
Thank you so much for your call, Brother Mims.
Yeah, so the Western Wall is, I actually get, I can feel thinking about it, to be there.
I can see your response to
to be there in a tense, to see people chanting and speaking in different tongues and feel their prayer and feel their request, and to say nothing and feel.
Do you feel like you're the vibration
and to feel
raised
I feel that vibration now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Thousands of miles away. To have the Jewish religion is so on point in terms of the never forgetting, and how they train up their kids, and how they keep them connected to what they believe, whether you agree with what they believe or not, and how they keep them connected to their traditions and what they believe. To hear those young men, who were hundreds of them in this mass group, who were chanting and singing and praying at the Western Wall for their Jerusalem, for their Israel, for what they believe is their right. Now, the politics of that is a whole nother thing. But as I witnessed that from young people around the world, who wanted to recommit, whether it was to Islam, whether it was to Judaism, or many of the Asians who were from other faiths, or Tao or Hindu, who were there, trying to connect with the power of God, or the power of, they thought, Jesus or Christianity. It made me think about my people in my community, and that how watered down our faith and our religion is. And I often think about something we have in the black community is, once Jesus taps one of us on the back, we want to ask people when they've been saved. Oh man, when was you saved? Oh, when was, like it was a time and a moment and a special occasion. Well, it happened on the cross.
Right, exactly.
So the question for me is, are we plugged in to today, or are we plugged in to yesterday? And if you plugged in today, you really miss the meaning of why he was on the cross, And we had an interesting debate with a Jewish rabbi, where it was a guy who firmly believes in what he believes. So we challenged each other in our thought in the moment, and the people in my group did, and I love the respect of different ideology and different religious philosophy, but understanding that there is a God.
Right. And I'm so glad that you said that, because it's funny that all of this, there is no coincidences, but Aiden was invited to his first bar mitzvah this past Saturday, and, I took him to all of the events of the day, because I felt it was important for him to have exposure. Right. And when we expose our children to different cultures, how we can respect their cultures and, their viewpoints. And he was like, Mom, wow, was he reading Hebrew? I was like, yes, he's been studying it for years. And how, like you said, they, pass on those traditions and are really, keeping them together. And I think what we can learn from different cultures and, how we can move everyone forward.
Real enlightenment is a level of understanding and respect about other people's beliefs and traditions and culture. It does not mean you have to agree with them. But there has to be a level of understanding, willingness to want to understand and research and respect that actually helps you in what you believe your beliefs are.
Right. One of the other places I want to talk about real quick before we run into the next break is the Mount of Olives. The Mount Olives, located east of Jerusalem's Old City, features prominently in the New Testament. It was there that, according to tradition, Jesus wept for what he foresaw as the destruction of Jerusalem.
It actually separated the city from the Judean mountains and the Judean desert. So it was a numerous historical accounts. King Solomon, David weeping on the mount. Of course, olive trees and olives are famous for that region. Olives, I brought some carvings back that, depending on whether it's dry wood or wet olive wood, determines their value. But Mount of Olives, it was called Silwan Necropolis at one time. It represented the Judean kingdom. The current site is to where you have over 150,000 burial sites for Jewish graves. So it was extremely powerful as it relates to biblical accounts.
Wow, that is amazing.
And it's also the place where Jesus ascended into heaven. It was part of where his ascension was. So the most interesting thing about this is that when you visit these places, Eileen, there's a sense of history, but there's a sense that if your mind and your heart are open, not only do you visit and study, but you can feel.
And that's what is so amazing because isn't that what we're supposed to do as a community, as a world? We're supposed to, unite and feel and love. And that's, what the basis of.
Well, I don't want to get too weird for people, but much of life is is metaphysical. It's about energy. I believe in energy. Too often we're trying to focus on what we hear or what we see, and we don't understand if you don't feel it, it's probably not to be felt.
Oh, Oliver, you a man after my own heart. We're going to continue that conversation when we get back because, I feel like, I've become aware, especially in this past year, and I've been opening my mind to living differently in the world. Hopefully we can touch somebody else.
Absolutely.
This is the Good Life Friday. I am here with Oliver O.T. Thomas, and we will be right back.
Are you looking for a better way to get fit? Bored with the same old routines? Looking for results or a way to instill discipline in the kids? Tiger Rock Martial Arts is the answer with Taekwondo, kickboxing, and self-defense classes. Tiger Rock diversifies your training in ways that allows individuals of all ages and fitness levels to feel like a champion. Join Tiger Rock today. TigerRockNola.com or 504-455-9694. That's 504-455-9694 with a 3-class starter pack starting for only $38, which includes your training uniform. Learn, grow, and succeed with Tiger Rock's 3 convenient locations: Old Metairie, West Bank, and Clearview. There's no better time to start gaining strength, skills, and protection for life than now. 504-455-9694. 504-455-9694. See you on the mat.
Gentili Italian Pie is home to the $5 Family Happy Hour. Specials on pizza, wings, and drinks Tuesday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Gentili Italian Pie does fresh for the entire family. Salads, pizza, pasta, wings, and oven-baked sandwiches. Gentili Italian Pie offers lunch and dinner in a new, modern atmosphere surrounded by big screen TVs. Dine in or carry out by calling 504-826-9180. That's 504-826-9180. Relax. Have a drink from the fully stocked bar or beer on tap while your order is made from the freshest ingredients. Gentili Italian Pie, 4706 Paris Avenue, is home where everybody knows your name. So bring the family to Paris and Marabout for the $5 Family Happy Hour, Tuesday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's Gentili Italian Pie. Dine in or carry out. 504-826-9180. That's 504-826-9180. You gotta try the pie. That's the original Italian pie, located at Paris and Mirabeau in Gentili.
This is Irvin Mayfield. I believe art is often a catalyst to create honest dialogue when words are too hurtful or distancing. Jazz is all about bringing people together, and that's the goal of all of our work at the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra. Blank Lives Matter is our opportunity to create a soundtrack for the moment and facilitate a conversation about this global, complex subject through our art. This newly written music will allow the audience to experience the full gamut of emotions, joy, loss, humor, and pain, through the same optimism that you feel listening to a blues song. So join me on January 21st, 22nd, and 23rd for the world premiere of Blank Lives Matter, a new commissioned work with the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra at the People's Health New Orleans Jazz Market, 8 p.m. Tickets are available at thenojo.com.
Laugh. Relationship Tuesday is going up on a Friday. Sets off at Bullets, 2441 AP Toro, January 29th at 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. The Good Laugh Relationship Tuesday going up on a Friday is presented by the Good Life Radio Show featuring Stand Up Nola, combining Relationship Tuesday with the crew Eileen, Uche, Brian, Henry, and Ty, and Friday's The Good Laugh Comedy Hour with comedians Tony Frederick, Matt Owens, and CJ Hunt. The Good Laugh is comic relations. Buy your tickets online now. thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. Come hear what really goes on during commercial breaks. Come get your relationship questions answered live. Stand Up Nola will say everything we can't say on air. The Good Laugh Relationship Tuesday going up on a Friday at Bullets, 2441 AP Toro, January 29th at 7 p.m. Tickets are going fast, so purchase online now at thegoodlaugh.brownpapertickets.com. Carter Business Development delivers. For businesses to compete, they must have access. Let CBD be your bridge for business development services, radio advertising, social media marketing, brand ambassador, outreach, and access. Contact Carter Business Development at 504-400-7127 or email Eileen@tglradioshow.com. Carter Business Development creates unfolding opportunities. CBD connects the dots from where you are to where you want to be. Join the good life now with Carter Business Development, 504-400-7127, 504-400-7127. As quoted, a man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time. Let CBD save you time and give you access. Call 504-400-7127, 504-400-7127. Take the steps required for access so you can live the good life too with Carter Business Development. That's 504-400-7127.
Listen to WBOK 1230 AM anywhere in the world. Live at www.wbok1230am.com. WBOK 1230 AM, talk radio in New Orleans.
Good morning, and welcome back to The Good Life with me, Eileen. We are here with Oliver O.T. Thomas, and we are here to open your mind. We are here on The Good Life Friday, and Oliver Thomas is opening our mind to living differently in the world. He has been.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, you are, because the average. Well, the average New Orleanian hasn't been able to, visit Israel and Palestine and been on the front lines.
Well, people have opened my mind. I think we forget sometimes that the best of us, our best opportunity is to listen, listen and learn, and comprehend and assess, and then put it into action in our own lives.
Well, that's wonderful. And we're about to go to the lines because they are lit up. I have Glenn on line 3. Glenn, welcome to The Good Life.
Hey, Glenn, peace be unto you, man.
Peace be unto you also. When God sent the prophets,
yes,
he sent them with scripture, and he also gave those prophets the wisdom of the book.
Yes.
See, not just the literal writing, but the wisdom of the book.
Good point.
And that's what Moses did. He wrote the 5 books of Moses.
Very good point.
That was Moses expounding on that scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is after each Muslims pray 5 times a day.
Yes, sir.
And after each prayer, we say, "Oh God, make Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham successful and the true followers of Abraham successful."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the true followers of Abraham that God made successful were the Christians and the Jews.
Yes.
And God made us to say this prayer every day. The Muslims say this prayer every day to remind us of our connection that we have with Christians and Jews.
Mm.
See, the children of Abraham.
That's a very good point.
That's a very good point.
That's a good point, Glenn.
Of that scripture.
Good point.
The wisdom is the Christian, the Jews, and the Muslims. We are the children of Abraham.
Very good point.
That seed was going to be so big, you won't bear the count.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow, powerful point.
That is absolutely a
very
powerful point.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much, Glenn.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
We have Keith on line 2. Keith, welcome to The Good Life with Oliver O.T. Thomas.
Hey, Brother Keith, man. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you, good brother.
Peace be unto you, morning, brothers and sisters.
Shalom.
Thank you, Brother Oliver. Let me just a little bit on Brother Glenn. Well, in his spiritual vision, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was transported on a night journey from Mecca to Jerusalem.
Right.
Now, the foundation, when the leader Umar came there in the 8th century, the holy foundation, what was the temple built by Solomon and David. He stepped on them both. It was in ruin. It was in ruin. They saw the collapsed ruins of the foundation. They cleaned it. Now the mosque, the Gold Dome Mosque.
Yes.
Did you see a silver dome when you was there?
Across on the other side on the wall, yes.
Gold Dome, and there's another one. I think it's called Masjid Harim. Now the Gold Dome is called Masjid Al-Aqsa, AQSA.
Yes, sir.
Now when he built it, everybody was invited. Now, listen to this. I'm sorry you say you didn't get a chance to walk around on the foundation.
You did, but there's some contention there in terms of disturbing when Christians disturbing the dome.
A couple of years ago, I listened to W.D. Muhammad on a Sunday sometimes.
Yes.
And he said it's a shame that anybody of any religion is being barred from their holy place. It's against God. That's not God's will. Everybody has the right to go to their sacred place to worship.
Right.
Not know there's things going on over there. Now listen to this. Time Life magazine was writing these hard books about different countries in the world.
Yes.
They came out with this one called Great Religions of the World.
Yes.
With all of them, Hindus, Zoroastrian, Buddhism.
Yes.
Now, they allowed the photographers to go inside the Gold Dome Mosque. And by the way, when they finish the pilgrim Mecca, the Muslims complete their pilgrimage when they go to Jerusalem.
Yes, I read Houston Smith's book, Religions of the World. Yes.
Now, they let the photographers in. Beautiful color pictures. They showed the rock where Abraham, peace be upon him, was going to sacrifice his son. And there's another site. It's like a round, deep hole with iron banisters that's going around that come up to your dick. You can look down in that hole, but nobody knows what that hole is. Nobody. They don't know where that hole leads to. That's all I want to say. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much.
On the foundation, bro. I'm sorry you didn't get a chance to do that.
Thank you, Brother Keith. Appreciate you, man. It's one of the most interesting things is that the people who are not involved in whatever their propaganda may be, even if they have religious views, their ability to live together, and believe in that higher power.
Right.
Whether you believe in the Torah, whether you believe in the Holy Quran, whether you believe in Christianity, there are groups that in many cases what happens with extremists, it interferes with their ability to worship, practice, and get along.
And it's amazing that we talk about all this and, speaking about getting along and really listening to everyone. I know the last place I really wanted to touch on was Masada, perched high on a plateau that overlooks the Dead Sea.
Right near the Dead Sea, yeah.
How was that experience there?
Just to go, either climb up or take the rail, the tram.
I know you climbed up.
No. No, we actually did. We did climb up many of the sites. We did, but that one, no. Absolutely.
As fit as you are?
My athletic knee is easier for me to go up. Coming down is a problem. And we actually walked about sometimes 4 to 5 or 6 miles a day.
Oh, okay, wow.
Because I lost weight.
I knew. I was about to say, look at you.
I actually lost weight. It's perched up there. Of course, that was a place, I think one of Herod's temples in honor of himself, who was actually a keeper of the Roman Empire, and to actually see that meant the Jews who took refuge there, just to look down to see the place where the Roman infantry assembled. And then one of the sad stories about that was that the Jews who were there, who actually, rather than be captured by the Romans, how they killed themselves.
Yes, in AD 73, more than 900 Jewish rebels famously committed suicide rather than surrender to the Romans.
They killed their women and children first, and then they took their own life, rather than be slaves.
Right.
No, not surrender, rather than be slaves.
Wow.
So as we're slaves to materialism, we're slaves to our own political propaganda. We're slaves to what we believe in many cases our own race and part of our culture. We're slaves to market forces, to capitalism today. It was the account of many people who said rather than be a slave, that they would rather die.
And with everything that you said with be a slave to, do you find that it's really being a slave to fear and our ego? when it gets down to everything, capitalism, money, and all of these ills of the world. When it gets down to it, it's a fear and a power struggle over each other.
Well, ego versus emptiness. If your ego is very large, it probably means you're very empty. But if you're not empty, if you're enlightened, if you're a person of faith and has challenged and accepted that faith, then you don't have to worry about your ego. And as someone who's been guilty of having a large ego, there's a level of humility that comes with being filled and being enlightened.
If you really start listening to the world, do you find that there is a level of consciousness and awareness that's kind of overflowing?
Well, the different battles that are going on right now. One of the interesting things was to see young people from all over the world, whatever their religion was, who are trying to connect back. There's a search for a deeper meaning than we have right now. So when you talk about Black Lives Matter, the BYB, the young movement we have right here, Brother Quest, See Freedom, and many others, they're young folk all over the world who know that something different has to happen.
Right.
As it relates to their spirituality, as it relates to them connecting back to a much safer foundation than the world has given them right now. The only problem in many cases is that those who want to influence the world are in the way.
And it's funny because, they had the Republican debate last night, and, I really want to look sideways when I see, some of our leaders who want to lead by fear. And I think we should really open our minds when we see those types of leaders.
It's part of history. It's inevitable. If there isn't a quest for enlightenment, if there isn't a quest for people to get back to spirituality versus religiosity, and versus commercial religion, that's going to continue to happen. That's no different than what happened, whether it was the Byzantine Empire, the Talmud, the Roman Empire, There was one location we went to where there were 24 different empires, and the one would come in and kill and enslave the next one, then the next would come in and kill. You're talking about over thousands of years, So, man is at his lowest nature, is extremely primitive and extremely savage. It is only our higher nature and our connection to a greater faith or a greater cause that makes us sane or peaceful to any degree.
So how do we get back to these things? The Pope just visited last year, and, his message of love and oneness and unity. How do we, that's one of the things about the good life that I talk about: love, compassion, understanding, and tolerance. You touched on a little bit earlier about we don't have to agree with everyone, but we can be understanding to their point of view.
The first thing that has to happen is an assessment of yourself. Everything that I've read in ancient culture, and I studied Houston Smith's book of World Religions. It's something I like to do, and I will recite. I think it was Confucius or Lao Tzu, or maybe it was Gautama who wrote, "If there's righteousness in your heart, there'll be beauty in your character. If there's beauty in your character, there'll be harmony in your home. If there's harmony in your home, there'll be order in your nation. If there's order in your nation, there'll be peace in the world." We hear so many people talk about the world, but 630 BC, when that was written, they started with themselves. They started looking in the mirror.
Right.
I contend and I believe that if enough of us are righteous enough in our own walk, we will create an energy and a synergy where the world will be right in its walk. So that's why when I hear older people talk about those children, well, the first question has to be, what happened to you? So that the group that followed you is in such disarray.
That's such a hard conversation, because so many of us don't want to do that hard work of self-reflection.
Well, it's always somebody else's fault. If it's the welfare mother's fault, if it's the white man's fault, if it's the Obama's fault, the easiest thing to do is to blame somebody.
And else. So for the Good Life Friday, what I really would like to, open people's mind is, let's start with ourselves. Let's start to, build those bridges with love. But we have to start with ourselves so then we can reach out and we can bring somebody else up.
Difficult to do.
So as, culminating your trip, what did you feel like you got from it?
I got a clearer, more historical perspective. Absent the propaganda. The propaganda was there. Of course, you had to read through whether it was Israeli or Islamic side. But I always go back to something that Minister Farrakhan told me after Hurricane Katrina. He was talking. He says, people believe that he wants everybody to be Muslim or join the Nation of Islam. And he said, man, the best thing you could ever do for me is be the best black man you could be with whatever your faith and your quest to be close to God. He said, that's it. I would recommend that to everybody.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being, my guest on the Good Life Friday. You inspire so many. You inspire me, and thank you for, opening our minds today with how you were your mind was open.
I don't want to give you pushback. I don't know that OT opens up anyone's minds. I've made enough mistakes in my life to get it right sometimes. I'm a product of listening to your show. I'm a product of listening to people. I'm a product of a lot of people who, in many cases, cared more about me than myself.
I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to remind everybody the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra to premiere artistic director Irvin Mayfield's latest original composition, Blink Lives Matter, January 21st through 23rd. And he will be my guest on next Friday, the Good Life Friday. We also have an announcement about the MLK activities. Welcome to the Good Life.
Hi.
Hi, Pastor Marie.
Is still there?
He is.
Yes.
This is Pastor Marie Galatas Ortiz.
Before you say anything, let me say that if it's been absent this discussion about monuments and historical positions, you were one of the first people before 30 years ago to challenge our city in terms of where we go with these issues. So if you haven't gotten any credit, the world in this community needs to know that you've led that effort a long time ago.
Thank you, my son. That's one of my community sons.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for allowing me to come on.
Absolutely.
I am the chairperson for the Martin Luther King Memorial Service on Sunday the 17th. It's going to be held at 3 p.m. at the Austerlet Baptist Church at 819 Austerlet Street.
Reverend Parker.
Yes, Reverend Parker. Oliver was there. What year? Last year with me, Oliver?
Yes, I was in Tremaine.
Yes. And Oliver is I have 5 community sons, and he's one of them. He's one of my top community sons. And it was wonderful, and this year we have a nice lineup. And, the speaker this year is going to be Reverend Byron Clay from Canada. That boy can speak, young man. That's one of my other sons in the community.
And so the event is this Sunday?
Yes, it's this Sunday the 17th at 3 p.m. at 819 Austerlet Street Baptist Church, Reverend Parker.
So make sure that you join the MLK activities this Sunday
at
3 p.m.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Reverend Marie.
Thank you so much. This is The Good Life.
Thank you. Before you go, Eileen, let me thank you for what you do in terms of, a lot of us, your show has been more like a variety show, a variety of different topics to make people feel good, challenge their thought. It is necessary. What happens at WBOK is not complete without The Good Life. And thank you for being a voice for at least where people can have a medium to discuss whether it's relationships or what we do economically. It's a blessing to have that.
Thank you so much, Oliver. I'm touched. This is The Good Life. And I'll see y'all Tuesday.